Hi everyone, thanks for watching this presentation. I am Huriye Khalilzadeh from the Humanize Lab at Monash University in Melbourne, Australia. And today I'm going to talk about our work on identifying how diverse and user human-centric issues are discussed on GitHub. We all know that software systems aim to deliver efficient and satisfactory solutions in order to fulfill the expectations of their diverse end users. But we are also aware of the issues that users might face because of the lack of understanding and addressing of human-centric issues during the software engineering process. In this project, we define human-centric issues as the problems that diverse users face when they use a software system because of the lack of proper consideration of their specific characteristics, limitations, and abilities, such as their age, gender, physical and mental impairments, and so on. To be able to better design software that meets the diverse needs of end users, developers need to appropriately consider such characteristics in all aspects of the software. Developers' discussions are known to be a major factor in deciding how a system evolves, and they also include information beyond how a system works. Online software repositories such as GitHub attract a lot of discussions between developers on different topics and include information about the issues they face during the software development process and also how they react to such issues. Online software repositories are very well studied from different technical aspects, and then we thought that analyzing the comments that developers leave in response to the issues might reveal the consideration of diverse end users, human-centric issues from the viewpoint of developers. In this slide, you can see an example of an issue on GitHub, which has a title and also several comments. This is related to an issue a user who's dyslexic has with the system. And the user needs some options such as the ability to increase font size, line height, and fonts. And this is actually followed by another developer's comment saying, I'm not sure I agree with it, which shows that developers are not necessarily aware and agree with the issues that end users face. To be able to understand how human-centric issues are currently discussed by developers in popular software repositories, we aim to identify and categorize the human-centric issues discussed by developers on GitHub in this study. To be able to achieve that, we needed to collect issue comments from specific projects. We focused on end user-based projects with different sizes, domains, and types of users in order to increase the chance of identifying human-centric issues. And we focused on a diverse range of applications that can be broken down into 4 categories. The first category covers applications designed for vulnerable users. We expected that developers would talk more about human-centric issues when they develop applications for vulnerable users, especially those needing visual features. We therefore searched through the Google App Store to find the popular applications for vulnerable users, and initially found 58 related apps with at least 1 app review on the App Store. We then looked for the ones with a GitHub repository and found only 35 of them have a GitHub repository, and then selected the ones with at least 1 open issue. This gave us a final set of 6 projects. And we also focus on applications with millions of users. And in this group, we selected Firefox. That is one of the most popular open source mobile web browsers hosted on GitHub with millions of users, and has also been extensively studied in software research from different technical aspects, but not yet from human aspects. Because Firefox attracts large number of users with different characteristics, we expected that this may increase the chance of discussions on human-centric issues among developers. We then focused on COVID-19 contact tracing apps, which were developed to control the COVID-19 pandemic. They were effective, but were also reported to have social and human-related issues, such as privacy and ethical issues. We selected COVID-safe app developed by the Australian government and Corona-Warn app developed in Germany, since both of these apps have GitHub repositories and both Android and iOS versions. And finally, we focused on healthcare applications and tools because this type of applications can have significant risks to the patients and healthcare professionals. And in this category, we selected health checks since it is the most popular healthcare-related GitHub repository and has the highest number of stars in healthcare-related repositories on GitHub. You can see the list of projects and how diverse they are in terms of size and popularity based on the number of issue comments, contributors, watches, stars, and releases. We needed a set of representative issue comments to be able to find human-centric issues. We initially collected all the issue comments in these 12 projects using GitHub API and collected almost 12,000 issue comments in total. We then used Power Statistics, and at the 95% confidence level, we set a 5% margin of error and randomly selected a representative sample size of issue comments in each project. That gave us a final set of 1,691 issue comments. We completed the study in 2 phases. In the first phase, we selected all the issue comments for apps designed for vulnerable users because we only had 203 issue comments in those projects, and also added a random set of 244 samples for the first phase. We had 2 analyzers in the first phase and had several meetings to come up with the initial taxonomy of human-centric issues. Then in the second phase, given the apps designed for visually impaired and dyslexic users had a limited number of issue comments and were already analyzed in the first phase, we didn't further consider them in the second phase and analyzed the remaining 1,244 issue comments. We had an extra analyzer for the second phase, and each analyzer labeled 2/3 of data to be able to have 2 analyzers for each issue comment. And we use negotiated agreement to resolve our disagreements. We categorize the human-centric issues into 8 categories: inclusiveness, privacy and security, compatibility, location and language, preference, satisfaction, emotional aspects, and accessibility. Inclusiveness covers all the issue comments that discuss inclusion or exclusion or discrimination toward a specific group of users. It also includes issues related to the age, gender, and socioeconomic status of the users. And the example here shows a discussion related to COVID-19 app that is not usable for users who don't have a German App Store account and therefore are excluded from using the application. Privacy and security category covers all the issue comments related to privacy, security, data protection, reliability, and trust. We also classified developers' discussions concerning accessing the location and private data of a user into this category. The issue comment example here discusses the fact that the app doesn't get permission from the user to access location, but it still tracks the user's location. Compatibility covers issues with different devices, operating systems, and platforms. Compatibility issues are normally thought of as technical, not human-centric issues, but they can actually happen because of the user's socioeconomic status, such as not having access to the latest phones, or the developer's ignorance, such as not taking all different platform choices into account. And the example here shows a discussion around the issue with the compatibility of the app with older phones and the fact that it is because the app is only being implemented for newer Android versions. Location and language category covers issues related to the physical location from where the user is accessing the software. These include discussions about language or culture-related issues. We actually found many comments that users' access may be limited if they're like visiting a country and have no local phone number or app store account in that specific location. The issue common example that you can see here discusses the necessity of supporting different languages to be able to have more users using the application. And you can actually see that some examples have several aspects, like this one is both related to inclusiveness and also language. Any discussion related to the user's preferences from the point of view of the developers or the users falls into this category. This relates to the features or functionalities that users prefer based on their specific human-centric aspects or limitations. Preference-related discussions include aspects such as requesting a new feature, or issues or requests to change an existing feature, such as position of user interface element and so on. And also privacy-related issues because of the personal reasons. Preferences are sometimes discussed according to the user's feedback that's being received through app review on Google Play Store or App Store, or sometimes developers use the application themselves and then discuss their usage experiences on GitHub. The example here shows a discussion related to an icon based on whether they're relevant to the users or not. Any discussions of the user's satisfaction, dissatisfaction, and pleasure falls into this category. This includes discussions around users' complaints, battery usage problems, and spam messages, and so on. And the example here shows a discussion related to the user experience, and the developers discuss the application usage from a user point of view. The emotional aspect category includes the possible emotional impacts that the software can have on the users, including making the users confused, worried, scared, and bored when they use the application. And we all know that this is different for different users based on their human-centric characteristics. And the example here also shows how a user can feel anxious because of not having absolute and at a glance insight into their operations. Finally, accessibility covers issue comments discussing accessibility issues, specifically for users with physical and mental impairments. And the issue comment example here discusses that an option or a color need to be left as is because it's a side effect of the dark mode, simply. As we saw, there are different human-centric issues that are discussed in GitHub issue comments. In terms of human-centric issues occurrence, we found a total of 283 human-centric related discussions in the sample set that we had. And we found that privacy, preference, and satisfaction are more often discussed, while emotional aspects and accessibility related issues were rarely discussed, as you can see in this figure. In terms of different projects, COVID-19 apps, including COVID Safe Australia and Corona Warn app Germany, included more human-centric issues discussions, mostly in privacy, preference, and satisfaction categories. And general purpose and health-related apps, as well as apps designed for vulnerable users, had fewer human-centric issue discussions. To summarize, we found that a wide variety of human-centric issues are discussed in different GitHub repositories. Some of the categories, such as inclusiveness, cover a wider range of human aspects, for example, age, gender, and culture. Some issues are more technical related, such as compatibility, and some are applicable to a more general range of audience, such as user satisfaction. We also found that some of the human-centric issues are discussed more commonly, such as privacy, satisfaction, and user preferences, whereas we found there is a very limited discussion of accessibility and emotional aspects. Lack of accessibility-related discussions can reflect the fact that challenged users are a very small minority of the users, and their challenges are not being understood and discussed properly. Also, we found that human-centric issues are different across different projects, and unlike our initial expectation, we found that projects designed for challenged end users, such as visually impaired and dyslexic users, and the ones with large-scale end users, such as Firefox, have very limited discussions of human-centric aspects, specifically in accessibility and inclusiveness categories. We provided some implications and recommendations for the other researchers and practitioners based on the findings of this study. We found that there is no structured way of reporting and addressing most human-centric issues on GitHub. And the human-centric issues are mostly discussed from a technical perspective by the developers. We actually believe that this shows the need for a more human-centric issue reporting and follow-up process and tools, and also providing the users with an option to report such issues can help the underrepresented groups of users to be engaged and to be able to bring new perspectives on research. In addition to this, we recommend that awareness of human-centric issues can help developers and researchers to incorporate and report human-centric issues more effectively. Software engineers are typically very different from most end users, and this actually impacts the degree that developers understand and know how to address human-centric issues to be able to meet the needs of their diverse end users. And we believe that training the developers, supporting them by providing required resources, and increasing their general awareness of human-centric issues can improve the consideration of these issues during the development process. We are extending this work by looking at not only the developers' discussions, but also the issues that end users report through app review options on App Store and Google Play Store, and therefore have built a more comprehensive set of human-centric issues. We have also developed a smart tool to automatically detect such human-centric issues and are looking for practitioners' feedback on them. You're also welcome to participate through the link that I have provided here or by scanning the QR code here. And it only takes 5 to 7 minutes of your time. On top of that, we're also working on incorporating such aspects in the design of software systems. Thanks a lot for listening to my talk. Please reach out to me if you have any feedback, comments, and questions.